What's up everybody? Today I'm going to image Comet NEOWISE, and I had a lot of bad luck while trying to image this comet because it took me 3 nights before I finally had some of the results I wanted. My first night out was alright. I actually enjoyed it a lot because I could actually see the comet. I had never seen a comet before with my naked eyes. And I also brought my binoculars with me, which made it even better. But I had rented a full frame camera because I wanted to try it out. I might buy it in the future. So I just wanted to rent it for a weekend and try it out. When I got home from my first night of imaging, I noticed that I only had JPEG files. So the camera was set to not saving any RAWs. It's kind of my own mistake because I didn't check if it would save RAW files. But I had rented a full frame camera and I simply assumed that anyone using a full frame camera would at least save their RAW files. So that was kind of a letdown. It was not too bad. I got some nice shots out of that night, but only JPEG files, so no stacking or whatever. The second night, nothing went as planned. I left home early so I would be way on time before darkness, and halfway on the way there, I realized I forgot my battery pack for my mount. So I turned around, drove back home, got my battery pack, turned around again and went to my dark side. I arrived at like 1 AM and I live in high latitude, so the comet is visible till around 4 AM and after that it's simply too bright to still be able to see it. When I finally arrived at my dark side, my autofocuser wouldn't connect, so I eventually decided to just focus manually with the added resistance of the autofocuser, maybe destroying it, I don't know. Second of all, my plate solving didn't work, and finally, once everything started working, the clouds rolled in and I had no vision of the comet for the next 2 hours. While the clouds rolled in, I decided to just image some deep sky targets while I was waiting for the clouds to pass, because I could see the end of the layer of clouds, no problem. That would be like 30 minutes or something. But 30 minutes later, they still hadn't passed and I was like, well, I can still see the end. Let's wait another 30 minutes. And 30 minutes later, there were still clouds. When I got home and I looked at the time-lapse, I could actually see clouds forming right below the comet. So the clouds were actually forming as I was sitting there waiting for them to pass. So that kind of sucked. I got like one shot on my way home. I just parked my car down the road. I saw the meteor, I took a shot. So I had at least one image and I drove home because I was kind of done with the night. My third night out was actually very successful. It wasn't really as ideal as I wanted it to be, but my results are really great and I'm really happy with it. I did try out some new camera settings, but it didn't really work out as nice as I wanted to, so please bear with me for the next 30 seconds and let's get right to it. What's up guys, I just arrived at the Afsluitdijk, which is quite a dark location in the Netherlands, and right there you can see Comet NEOWISE. I'm currently doing my polar alignment and then I'm just going ahead and try to photograph it with my 72 ED with a 0.85 field flattener, so I can get pretty close up it. I hope to capture some details. I'm really excited, it's going to be really cool. I'll do a longer exposure now, 5 seconds. Look at that. That's dope. It's about 2:30 AM. I've been here for a good 2 hours. The comet is currently rising. There's a thick layer of clouds rolling in, but the comet is able to stay just slightly above the thick layer of clouds. I had some very thin clouds come in front of the comet in some of my subframes. So I have about 1.5 hours of data, about 25 to 30 minutes without any clouds at all, and the rest has very thin clouds in front of the comet. I hope that when I stack these images when I get home, that the signal to noise ratio is good enough to average out the thin clouds in front of the comet, so I can have more usable data. If not, I still have about 25 minutes worth. The comet is rising and it's able to stay just above the thick layer of clouds, so I'm kind of lucky. It's just in between two thick clouds. I also have my binoculars with me, and I can really advise, if you go out to try and photograph this comet, take some binoculars with you, because you can see a lot more of the comet and it's really worth it. And while you're out there with your binoculars, check out Saturn and Jupiter as well, because with mine, I can see the moons of Jupiter through the binoculars, which is pretty cool. I can see a lot of the tail of the comet with my binoculars, which is actually quite amazing. Even with the naked eye, it's pretty big. If I hold my thumb up with a stretched arm right next to it, it's about the same length. So it's probably about 5-6 degrees. It's pretty big, and that's with the naked eye. That's not even with any binoculars or whatever. Anyways, let's hope the situation stays like this, that the comet is able to stay above the clouds and I can stay a little bit longer to finish the night. So as you could see, at the end the clouds really got in front of the comet and I left about 40 minutes early. I've made over 120 frames, like 125 I believe. They're all 1-minute frames, a total of 2 hours of data. After my meridian flip I had a little bit of an issue with trying to blade solve and finding the comet again, so there's a gap of about 15, maybe 20 minutes. And for my final result I made 2 stacks, and for the first stack I used 60 subs. There's about 15 subs without any clouds in them, and the other 45 had a minimum amount of clouds in them, and I stacked all of these to get the following result. So as you can see, the result is pretty awesome. I really like how it came out. I like how the ion tail is visible, because that was the main reason that I traveled to the dark side. And you can actually see streaks in the orange and in the blue. And if you look very closely, you can see like a dark streak in the ion tail. I've seen this darker streak in more images than just my own. I couldn't really find what it is, but my suspicion is that it's a so-called sodium tail. Sodium actually emits light at 589 nanometers, which is orange light. And I think if you mix orange with blue, it becomes this weird brownish color. So that's my suspicion, but I'm not really sure if that's true. If anyone knows what it actually is, or if I'm right, just please let me know, because I'm really curious about this. I couldn't really find anything online about this. Let me show you the other image I made. Which is a stack with only the images with no clouds at all. So this is only, I think, 12 or 13 frames. I believe 12. They're all 1-minute frames, and I stacked them. And this dark streak, this dark tail, is visible even better. And I think it also, the image as a whole shows a lot more detail than the image I took with the clouds in the background. Because with the clouds you can still see some bends in the image, which are actually artifacts of the clouds. It's kind of cool that the stars are completely gone though, so you can only see the comet, which is pretty cool. But I think the image without any clouds at all is a little bit better, just because some of the minor things are just a little bit more defined in this image. The streaks in the orange dust is a little bit more clear, and the blue ion tail is a little bit more clear, and especially the darker line is a little bit more pronounced. So I actually like that image a little bit better, even though the other one is 4 times the amount of data. So I actually like it a little bit better than the image with the clouds stacked in them. I will be making a video later this week which show you how to stack these images. I think a lot of people don't really know how to do this, especially when I scroll through my Instagram. I see a lot of people who just take a single photo, which is fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you take like 10 photos and stack them together, the results get a lot better. Let's take this one for example. This image, this is a single image of 30 seconds taken on my star adventure, so it is tracking the stars. And that's the reason why you don't see any trailing in the stars. Let's compare this to a stack of 10 of these images. So as I said, my camera was on a star tracker, which is the reason why the foreground is trailing instead of the stars. The noise of a single image is so much worse than my stack of 10 of these images. And the stacked image shows more details as well. You can even see the eye and tail in this image, and this image has been taken with my kit lens of my 800D, which is a crop sensor, at a focal length of 35mm. So I did not really expect the eye and tail to be visible on these images. It is slightly visible in the single image if you know where to look, but in the stacked image you can definitely see some sort of eye and tail in there. So my images are taken on a star tracker, and if you're using a normal tripod, then I suggest sticking to the 500 rule, probably even divided by 2, because this comet won't be back for another 7,000 years, so you get one shot. And if you have trailing in your images, that will be kind of a bummer. So I suggest trying to reduce your exposure time to make sure you don't have any trailing in your images, and then stack all your images on top of each other to get a much cleaner final result. And like I said, I will tell you how to stack your images later this week in a different video. Anyways, that's it for me, guys. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please let me know in the comments or leave a like. You can even consider subscribing, and if you do, then I will see you next time when I'm capturing the cosmos.